Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular city council meeting for August the 18th, 2025. And would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy. Absent. Councilmember Maloney.
Here.
Councilmember Schmischer.
Here.
Councilmember Stein.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy.
Here.
Councilmember Worthington.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick.
Here.
Mayor Troutman.
Here. Thank you. And we have Bradley Buck of the Bridge to Life Assembly for God for the invocation. Would you please rise?
Father, I praise you for being such a great God, that you are involved in every one of our lives. And because every life in Canyon City matters to you, I'm thankful for this meeting, for the city council members, for the guests who are here to speak on matters that are important to them. I pray for your peace to prevail here, and I pray that you will guide these proceedings, that decisions will be made for the benefit of the city as a whole, and that honor you, because you are worthy of our honor and our praise and our thanks. Thank you for hearing us and for working in our lives and in this, particularly in this city, for our benefit and for your name's sake. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing on the agenda, we have citizens who would like to speak, and Dennis Weed, you are up. Would you like to come forward?
Thank you. I don't know if this is the right time, or this is with regard to the excise tax, and I don't know if I make comments now or reserve them for when we're actually talking about that.
What's council's pleasure on that? Would you like to, would you mind if we reserved it till we have that discussion, or?
No, it'd probably be a little more appropriate. It'd
Okay.
be in context.
You know, we always like to talk to you, Dennis, but maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see
With-
all of you. Catherine, I haven't seen you in a long time.
So, is that okay? When will we'll have that discussion later on in the
Okay.
time. I'll keep your note here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Dennis, thank you. Okay, at this time, are there any council member announcements or updates? Emily?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tomorrow is the regular monthly meeting of the Superfund Site Community Advisory Group. As usual, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a hybrid meeting. You can meet with us in person in a classroom at the PCC Fremont campus, or you can join by Zoom. I'll mention, too, that the Community Advisory Group meeting in September is our annual meeting, and it will be in the evening in person at the Holiday Inn Express. I have it right here in front of me. So that's the third Tuesday in September, the 16th, 6:30 at the Holiday Inn Express.
Thank you, Emily. Anyone else? And we have Vision Committee meeting Wednesday, and we'll be talking about water rates. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, that was quick. All right. I'd like to invite our Human Resources, Butch Batchelor, forward for a employee recognition. Butch?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, other distinguished participants of the dais. It's good to see all of you this evening. I know you're excited because it's that time of the month where we as an organization get to recognize those individuals who are experiencing a milestone in their employment with the city. Tonight, we have the opportunity to recognize 3 of our sworn officers who have completed 10 years of employment and dedicated service to the city. At this time, I would ask Bryce Bodicum, Sergeant Bodicum, to join me up here. Sergeant Chad Gary, please join me. and Commander Chase Leonard. As has become our custom, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about each of the individuals, and then I'll give the mic to the chief, and he can give you a little more information from a more intimate understanding of these fine individuals. So for Sergeant Bodycom, on August 24th, 2015, Officer Bodycom was hired by the City of Canyon City Police Department as a Police Officer 2. On July 7th, 2024, Officer Bodycom was promoted to Police Sergeant Patrol, a position he currently holds. Sergeant Gary, on August 24th, 2015, Officer Gary was hired by the City of Canyon City Police Department as a Police Officer 2. On July 30th, 2020, Officer Gary was promoted to Police Detective in the Investigations Division. On July 15th, 2023, Officer Gary returned to the Patrol Division as a Police Officer 2, and then on March 2nd of 2024, Officer Gary was promoted to Police Sergeant Training, a position he currently holds. Commander Leonard, on August 24th, 2015, if you'll notice there's a pattern here, all three of these gentlemen joined the force on the same day. Commander Leonard was hired by the Canyon City Police Department as a Police Officer 1. On May 30th, 2020, Officer Leonard was promoted to Police Sergeant Patrol. On March 31st, 2021, Sergeant Leonard was promoted to First Sergeant Detective Sergeant in the Investigations Division. Then on March 15th, 2023, First Sergeant Leonard was promoted to Police Commander, Support Division Services, a position he currently holds. Chief, do you have something you want to say about these fine gentlemen? And while you're doing that, I'll give them some prizes.
Thank you, Butch. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, once again, thank you for the opportunity to recognize our city's great employees. I'm not exactly sure who the chief was at the time, but I'm certainly thankful that he hired all three of these gentlemen standing behind me. Commander Chase Leonard, Sergeant Chad Gary, and Sergeant Bryce Bodycomb are each consummate professionals, adding character, capacity, and professionalism to the PD. Each of them is not only dedicated peace officers, but also local residents choosing to serve the community in which they live in. Additionally, Commander Leonard is our support services leader responsible for our community services officers, digital and physical evidence, community engagement. He's also responsible for all of our fleet and all of our equipment. Chase is also our most recent graduate from the FBI National Academy. A reminder that less than 1% of our law enforcement leaders are invited and accepted into to participate in the renowned Command Leadership Program. Sergeant Gary is our training and canine sergeant. Sergeant Gary is a recent graduate of the prestigious Force Science Institute and is working towards recognition as a use of force subject matter expert. Sergeant Bodycomb is also an experienced professional peace officer, focusing his expertise in uniform patrol and tactical operations. Bryce serves as one of our assistant team leaders on our SWAT team. Time in service, the 10 years is certainly a grand milestone, but it really cannot sum up the level of experience and perspective that they bring to our organization and to our community. Each of these team members expands our professional policing posture and capacity, and we're very, very fortunate to have such dedicated personnel. I salute and thank each of them.
Thank you, Chief. We had, as usual, each one of them has to give a 20-minute speech.
That's where I was going to invite him up to the podium
No.
for their speech.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
So
So as has also become our custom, if I could get the council to
Yes,
come
let's
down in
do
front
that.
of the dais, and if I could get our officers over there, we'll get a group picture. And Jamie's got her camera ready to go. Don't make her wait.
Happy face, Chad.
Thank you again, gentlemen, for your service and the safety that you afford our community. Thank you so much. So at this time, I'd have the city administrator review the agenda and the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Item 8A is to approve the minutes for the regular city council meeting on August 4th, the general government meeting on August 6th, special meetings on July 30th, the water committee, and August 4th in executive session. 8B is to declare surplus equipment and authorize disposal in accordance with city purchasing policy. 8C is to receive and file monthly budget summary for June. 8D is to receive and file cash disbursements and P-card disbursements. And 8E is to receive and ratify cash disbursements.
Okay, are there any questions or additions or corrections for the administrator? Amy?
Thank you, Mayor Troutman. Administrator Stevens, I know that I had several questions on items related to the consent agenda, and I've been told that the city has a new travel policy and a new meals policy, and obviously the purchasing policy that's referenced in 8B. Would it be possible to provide council with copies of those three policies?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Anyone else? We're going to leave the administrator off that easily?
Oh, well, I'll jump in then.
Oh, you go- John, no. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, John.
I will. So I did review the monthly budget summary, and I noted that in most cases, we're probably just over 30% of our receipts. Just from the 50,000-foot view, how are we doing on our budget?
From an expenses side standpoint, we're doing good. We're holding different expense items, based off of what we're seeing from sales tax receipts. Sales tax is down, so we're continuing to monitor that and, slowly filling, vacancies or not filling vacancies right away. Different things that we can do to control costs.
Okay. Anything else? Then Emily, go ahead.
I thought it might be worth adding that we're just about to get in, at least from the council's perspective, get into budget time for next year. So I'm sure that the revenues and what we've been seeing this year will play strongly in what we decide to put in that budget next year. But we'll save that discussion for later, I guess.
They will. Yeah, part of Wednesday's meeting is preparing for budget and getting direction from City Council regarding the water rate structures so that we can put together that part of the budget. But yes, there's budgets have been submitted by the departments, and Finance Director Nordyke and myself, we still have to go through and look at everything that's requested and figure out what revenue's going to do.
Amy?
Thank you. And thanks for mentioning next year's budget, Councilwoman Tracy. I really appreciated Councilmember Maloney's request that we had, I think it was in August or maybe September session last year, to kind of have a preview of the budget and some of the trade-offs. I think that will be even more important in this coming year in kind of a reduced budgetary environment. I would request that we have a similar session this year, but perhaps make it a work session where we can be sitting around the table in the back and maybe schedule it for several hours so that we can actually have a really in-depth conversation about the most important thing that our city does. Thanks.
Thank you, Amy. Anyone else? Then I would entertain a motion and a second. Emily? Emily, yes.
That's you.
Sorry.
I saw his light too. Thank you. I move for approval of the agenda and consent agenda as submitted.
I'll second.
Jill, second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussions on that motion? Hearing and seeing none, would you call roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney,
Aye.
Schmisher,
Aye.
Stein,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
Worthington,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick.
Aye.
Oh, the city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. You have the written reports. Did give an update on Clock Tower Plaza, and the DOLA grant that we received was not to our full funding, so we're going back and reworking that, and likely no construction this year for that project. And you know, as we're talking about budgets, that will be something that we'll continue to discuss. Lots of stuff going on with the rec district and the pool. We have several items, or a couple items tonight, and would like to schedule an executive session with city council to discuss the IGA this Wednesday if possible, if we could do that either before or after our meeting on Wednesday. Is there a preference from anybody or from council members?
No URA meeting, is that correct?
No URA, we did, yeah. It's usually the first,
And-
before general government.
And we're
So
going to
this is
start
a-
at 5, is that correct, the regular meeting?
Vision.
The vision starts at 5, yeah.
Yes.
So if you'd like to do an executive session, we can either do it at 4 or 6 or 6:30.
I'd vote for after the 5 o'clock meeting.
After,
with me.
okay.
Sounds like the preference is after the meeting, after the
Yep,
vision
we'll-
meeting.
We'll
Okay.
get it scheduled and
Let's
posted.
do that. Okay, thank you.
And then last thing, we're continuing to have discussions with 4 Mile Ranch and the development group out there, working on their development agreements and working through items on a term sheet, and just continuing to work through that process. So I know they're ready to get some things moving out there, and we working on getting that development agreement in place.
Any questions of Ryan? Amy?
Thanks, Mayor Trotman. Huge kudos to Brandy, our grants writer, even securing a portion of the DOLA grant in such a tight budget environment is really commendable. Could I ask what the terms of that grant are, when we would need to have those funds obligated and expended?
We haven't contracted yet, so we're working on that. And I think we were confirming whether it was 2 years or 5 years to expend. So I've heard a couple different things, so those are things that we're still working on.
Okay. I think that would be really helpful to nail down before our discussion about the way forward on Clock Tower
Yeah,
Plaza.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see that we've whittled down our 10 RFIs on our Gateway Park to 4. When is it anticipated those will be sent around now to the full council?
The committee is going to interview the 4 and narrow it down to a final selection. But we could send the proposals if council wants to see them. It's a lot of reading.
Even
4?
huh?
4 is a lot of reading?
Yes.
Oh,
I participated in the committee, but certainly no issues from my perspective with sending them around.
That we have them electronic, correct?
We do.
So I would like to read them before.
And certainly, Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick, if you have any questions that you would like the panel to ask the finalists in that interview selection process, would certainly welcome sending those either to Councilmember Worthington or myself.
Do we have a date for when that may happen, when the interviews will start?
I am not recalling that we do. I don't think we have a set date yet. I think Patrick was going to be reaching out to the 4 to get something scheduled.
Is it days or weeks or days? Okay,
Yeah, as soon as I know, I can send that out as well.
okay.
Can anyone can sit on that, right, of the council or not? Or if we have more than 2 people, we have to announce that, or?
Yeah, if it's more than 2 people, we have to post it. We have a proposal or a committee put together with 2 members of Planning Commission, 2 members of City Council, and staff members.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Let's move on to discussion 10. It's a refer ordinance to committee meetings. Ordinance 14, Series 2025 regarding excise tax. And I would invite the administrator to or have staff present a report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is per our charter. We are referring a ordinance for the discussion of the mechanics of the excise tax, how it works, to the general government meeting on September 3rd. And then the second one, Ordinance 15, is to refer a discussion on the water rate structure to this Wednesday's meeting, August 20th.
If we're going to talk about the excise tax, what are we doing on 10C? That's an introduction and adoption?
Yep, 10C is the ballot language.
The ballot
So that's what puts it onto the ballot. The discussion on September 3rd will be the mechanics of how it actually works.
Is this where we would ask Mr. Weed to just come up and, or do you want to wait till we get to
Probably 10C.
10C? Okay. All right. Amy?
Thank you. I am a little bit concerned about not having this ordinance in place before we determine whether or not we would put the excise tax on the ballot, because I think that there are several important key details, including who the excise tax would apply to, that are spelled out in this ordinance. I understand, based on the timeline and kind of the late-breaking idea of the excise tax, that there wasn't time to consider this ordinance beforehand. But I just wanted to say that I'm concerned about that, and also to ask for a little bit more clarification on 315.010 with regard to, as it's currently written, I believe it would apply to any amusement or scenic rides, attractions, or recreational excursions operated within the city, which would then include any rafting trips that took out at Pink House, which is within city limits. But I just wanted to check in on that, because it feels like that may be a little bit different than what we had previously heard. So if we could get some clarification on this piece of the ordinance, understanding that discussion is not supposed to happen, but it is, I think, very germane to the ballot question itself. Thank you.
Yeah, so the short answer to your question is likely yes, the way it's written right now. It would apply to any type of those activities that are operated in the city. Then maybe they start outside the city, or the business is outside the city, but they come into the city to operate. So yeah, as it's written right now, this has changed a lot since that first conversation. There's been a lot of issues that we've had to deal with, and so I think that's something that needs to be talked about at general government in depth, along with whatever questions council might have and whatever direction council wants to go in. So.
Thank
Okay.
you, Catherine. I think my concern, obviously, is we're being asked to vote tonight on whether or not to put this on the ballot without actually having those really important and germane details decided. So just to flag that concern.
On that point, I mean, you can still wait to refer the question, I believe, and I'll look at your city clerk to make sure, but on your September 2nd meeting. It's
Yeah.
very close. I think it's due to the county on the 4th or the 5th.
Mhm.
And it has to be translated.
Emily, go ahead.
Just in line with what we're talking about now, I mean, clearly when we get to item, turn the page, C, 10C, we certainly will be talking about the ballot language as proposed, and I think, we can discuss a lot within that item about, where we're going with this. I'm not uncomfortable with the ordinance still needing to go to general government.
Okay, well, I'm not sure where we're at here. So we're going to, we've referred this to committees, but we're also going to vote up or down on it, the verbiage of just the language that will go on the ballot.
Correct.
If we put it on the ballot and we find there are things in it that we don't like, and let's say it passes, we could then modify it and change it at council? Is that-
So maybe we should back up just a second. So the purpose of the ordinance is to help flesh out the concepts in the ballot question. Obviously, defining everything in the ballot question is not practical for the voters. It's long enough, Tabor questions are fairly long anyway. And so the concept is to be able to, when the voters go to vote, that they would have an ordinance, hopefully, if you get to that point, passed by council, that would come into effect only if the ballot question passed, so the voters could understand what everything meant in it. That was the concept behind it. So unfortunately, with your charter provisions and the spaces between first and second reading and referring to a committee, there isn't time. It's not a possibility to pass the ordinance prior to the referral. So that's kind of where you are. So.
Amy?
Thank you. I agree with Councilwoman Tracy. I don't have any issue with referring this to general government. I think that we absolutely need to provide this level of detail before the election. Should 10C, should the excise tax question pass? So I don't have any concerns with that.
Any other questions of the attorney or Ryan? See any hands up? Okay. So done. It will be referred to a general government meeting.
Sorry,
And
Mayor, I think I missed putting down that this has to be voted on, correct? Sorry, that was my fault.
This has to be voted on?
It does,
Okay.
yes, sorry, I apologize.
So that I would ask for a motion and a second that would approve ordinance 15, series 2025 regarding, ordinance 14, series 2025 regarding excise tax.
And 15.
And 15.
Yep.
15 and 14, correct.
What about 16?
I don't, I don't see 16 here. Just 14 and 15. So I would need a motion to refer those to the appropriate committee.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I move that we refer ordinance 14 and ordinance 15 regarding excise tax and water rate structure respectively to the general government meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Motion's been-
Second.
Second. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. Any discussions on that motion? Any clarification? Go ahead.
I continue to be confused. So ordinance 15 is also going to general government, is that correct? No.
Ordinance 15 is going to Vision, sorry.
Okay, I don't think the motion said that.
Oh, I will accept that as a friendly amendment.
Oh, all right.
So, we're going to amend that. 14 will go to general government, and 15 will go to Vision Committee meeting, which is Wednesday.
Correct.
Correct. Are we clear on that? That's what we're voting on. Some more- Thank you so much. Would you call a roll? Any discussion on that motion? Call a roll, please.
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to B. It's introduction and adoption by title only of Resolution 6, Series 2025, entitled, "A Resolution for the City of Canyon City Approving Drinking Water Revolving Fund Loan Agreement." I'd ask the city administrator to expound on that.
I'm
Or
actually
Leo.
going to pass it over to our Public Works
We'll
Director,
bounce
Leo
it to
Evans.
Leo. Go ahead, Leo.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This will hopefully be the last time we talk about Drinking Water Revolving Fund until we award some projects for construction. So what we have before us today is a resolution to authorize the mayor, clerk, I believe the finance director, to sign the final loan agreement with the state. These terms are, well, I guess let me back up. If this is approved tonight, the state would do all their countersigns and closings on Friday this week, and then we would be finalized and done with the loan agreement. Looking at page 96 of the packet is where a lot of the pertinent details are. This is the same loan amount that we've talked about before. It's a total of $6.6 million. Of that, $1.5 million is being forgiven through federal funds from the bipartisan infrastructure law. The city will be responsible to repay $5.1 million over a term of 20 years at 3.25% interest. Page 99 has the loan repayment structure. If you look at that, it works out to roughly $352,000 a year in debt service. starting next year. This year's a partial. I think we'll have 1/2 payment this year if it's adopted. I think that's about all.
Okay.
Leo, can you talk a little bit about some of the projects that are
Oh.
going to be funded with this?
Sure. There's 4 primary projects that are included with this. 9th Street water main replacement from Mystic to Harding, which is from Washington Elementary up to the pump station. Harding Avenue from 5th to 9th. College Avenue from 9th to 15th. I think the water main replacement may only go from 10th to 15th, but the whole section will be reconstructed. And then Griffin from 4th to 9th are the 4 projects that are included with this.
Amy?
Thank you. And just taking that one step further, those water line replacements will then enable the city to use 2A funds to reconstruct those streets, which particularly North 9th and College and Griffin, I mean, all of them are very high traffic and in quite bad shape. Is that correct? Could you just speak a little bit to that?
Yep, that's correct. The intent is to match these drinking water dollars with 2A dollars to allow for full road reconstruction. Griffin Avenue is the only one that's kind of on hold right now, as we're a little bit short of 2A funds to be able to do that. So we're going to see how the first 3 kind of come together, and then if we have enough left, that one will get totally redone as well. If not, it may just be the water main at this time and then the street reconstruction at a later date.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of Leo? Thank you. Then I would call for a motion and a second.
I will.
John, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mayor and council, I move that we approve Resolution 6, Series 2025 on first reading.
Second.
Second, Kathy, thank you. Any discussion on that motion? Would you call roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. Let's go to C. 10C is introduction and adoption by title only of Resolution 8, Series 2025, entitled "A Resolution of the City of Canyon City, Colorado, referring a ballot issue to the registered electors of the City of Canyon City, providing for 2.25% excise tax on amusement and scenic rides, recreational excursions, and attractions to be levied for the purpose of pledging the revenue for operational costs for the community recreation pool owned and operated by the Canyon City Area Metropolitan Recreation and Parks District, and to fund a capital reserve fund for the city for community amenities." Would you like to discuss that? Or should we turn it
I
over to
think you
somebody?
covered it.
I covered it.
Yes, sir. This is the excise tax to help fund pool operations for the operations of a new community pool. That is the year-round facility that the Recreation District is working on. This excise tax, as you alluded to, is geared towards amusements, attractions, scenic rides, recreational excursions, to help generate the funds to cover the operational shortfall for the pool operations. If there were any left over, we would set up a separate fund for capital reserves for community amenities. For example, something like the Black Hills project or the Black Hills sites, Western Gateway Park is what its kind of placeholder title for the future build out of that would be something that could be eligible to use that capital reserve. Happy to take any questions. I know we had some discussion earlier about if there's operation within the city limits, but not necessarily based within the city limits. I did have an opportunity to call one of the rafting companies up on the hill and talk to the owner about whether or not they would be open to this, if they had any objections. And from that discussion, it sounded like their biggest concern was making sure that they weren't singled out compared to any of the other rafting companies. That if it was something that was going to be charged to everybody, then they could get on board with that.
Okay, Emily.
Actually, that's left from the last item, but I wonder, on this item, I wonder I'm not sure how much more context. I mean, there's a lot of history here. This is something that the community has been working on for several years, ever since the Ichabone Pool failed. The city and the school district have been working with the recreation district, particularly since some of the ballot issues passed last fall and one did not. So there's a lot of work occurring now at a committee level involving those three governmental entities, because one of the successful issues last fall was to fund design and construction of the pool facility. So what we're focusing on now with this proposed ballot issue, as our city administrator said, is for operational funds. And there's a lot. I mean, I just think it's mostly good news. It's particularly good news when we have these three different elected or governmental entities, local governments, that are working together on this and really trying to see this through in a way that will work. I guess the other thing I would say, at least at this point, is there's no easy way to do this. There has to be a funding stream from somewhere. We certainly have had a lot of discussions, whether it's public or private, about folks not wanting property taxes to be, that there just seems to be there is a strong feeling in the community that they don't want to see additional property taxes. So when we start looking at, well, what are other ways to fund the operations, that's when we kind of get narrowed down pretty quickly. And that's how this idea came about. An excise tax is basically like a sales tax, but it can apply to things that sales taxes don't ordinarily apply to. So I don't know if we need to read the actual ballot language here. Does anyone think we need to read it just so it's clear what is being proposed? I guess that's a question.
Okay, well, let's take that. Amy, go ahead.
That's also left over from last time.
What?
My name or button showing up on your screen, sir.
Oh, okay. So Emily, what you're proposing is we pass this and we can have the discussion about it at a later committee meeting. Go ahead.
No, I think we can have as much discussion as we want tonight, is the way I look at it. But I'm
Okay.
just wanting to make sure that the public knows that what we're focusing on this item is the language that would appear on the ballot for
Okay.
voters.
Okay.
And so I just want to be sure we're clear with the public about that.
So the language that we read tonight, that's what would appear on the ballot. That is.
Sorry,
Okay.
what's in capitals? Yes.
Okay. It's in capitals. I thought you did
In the
that.
resolution, yes,
Okay.
sorry.
I thought you made the letters small so I could read it, large so I could read it.
Yes?
Yes,
That was not the
that's a
reason.
consent, right? All right. Is this where we ask Dennis Weed to come to the microphone, or?
Yes, sir.
Yes, let's come on up, Dennis.
Okay. Again, thank you for having me here. So, a couple of things that I kind of want to address here. One is I'm very much in support of the pool and operating the pool. I have a hard time really getting on board with two of the 8 or 10 rafting companies in the area having the burden of contributing to this. It's a tough industry we're in. It's extremely competitive, and a lot of our guests that come are very price sensitive, and so I can't say that I could enthusiastically support anything that would, well, speaking frankly, put an excise tax on the services that I offer, but that 10 of my strongest competitors 8 miles to the west wouldn't have to pay. Now, I had mentioned to Ryan and Kyle before the meeting, if there was a way to get the companies outside of the city limits. And the interesting part is all the rest of the rafting companies that I would consider to be our competitors here, they're all in the rec district. They're just not in the taxing district. And, you know, so they benefit. If there is a legal, binding, long-term way that they can be committed, I can get behind this 100%. I have no problem with it at all. But I don't know what that mechanism is, and so given that, I would say that, I mean, my support would definitely hinge on whether or not that could happen. I mean, and the language of this is going to be tricky enough as it is. I mean, I had mentioned to Ryan beforehand, and it's like, or put in some kind of language that, you know, the excise tax applies to, or it excludes, I guess is what I really want to say, excludes businesses that are in the taxing district but that have direct competitors in the rec district. And then just another side note here, and I'm not going to mention names, but you're all going to know who I'm talking about, is this all hinges really on one particular attraction getting on board. And with conversations I've had with various people, it's not entirely clear that this entity is going to be on board with this excise tax. Most likely will challenge it. And if that entity is not on board, there is no chance of generating enough revenue to make a pool operational. And so then my question would be, if this ballot issue for an excise tax actually did pass and the unnamed entity that we all know successfully challenges it and opts out, then what? So then you have an excise tax that won't generate even 10% of the revenue necessary to run the pool. What happens to that excise tax? Does it keep going anyhow? And if it does, what happens to the money? And or is there an opt-out? And then, so I know I'm asking a lot of questions here, but hopefully things that you'll consider when you take this to committee. And then I guess the other one, I don't think it's not explicitly stated, but since there's no reference to it, I am presuming that this excise tax is a permanent excise tax. There is no sunset. That part correct? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the big issues, if all of my competitors are on board and bound in a way that they're on board, 100% behind it, what happens if the real player opts out successfully? Any questions?
Emily, go ahead.
Yes. You raise a lot of good questions, and some of them may be more legal that our attorneys should answer. I would say, as a non-attorney, I generally don't think anyone can opt out of taxes. Like if I go to the grocery store, I can't tell them I'm not paying my sales tax, or at least it wouldn't be successful for long. So I think, though, what you may be alluding to is that if someone challenged it in court, and we don't know what would happen in a court case, but I don't think they could just say that, oh, we're not going to.
Yeah, well, okay, so we know we're talking about the train. Train has a lot of federal protections from taxation that do not apply to other businesses. And I mean, I couldn't say, I don't want to pay the excise tax, but I don't have any federal protections for what I do. And there is, and I know, because I talked to Ryan about this earlier, that the train, lost my train of thought there. They've run it through our legal side and are fairly comfortable that they would have a good position if it was challenged, but it's not a rock-solid position either, and everybody knows that until the judge goes bang,
Right.
it's not a decision, so.
Right, that's what I assume, that it would have to, if it went that direction, that it would have to be settled in a court, a federal court, I believe, for railroad-related things, but I did have, and I don't know if this is the time, I have another question that's just related to ballot language, but there may be others who have questions for Dennis.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Or
John?
answers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in terms of, just to clarify, I think Dennis was positing that there was a successful court case, and what happened if one of the entities that was subject to this excise tax won their court case and was therefore not subject to the tax. I believe that's the issue that you were raising.
Yes.
But so my question is, if this ballot language passes, and if we then pass ordinance 14, and we have what I want to ask is who it really applies to, in using rafting companies as an example. So if a rafting company put in at the head of the Royal Gorge Canyon, floated through the canyon and pulled out of the river within city boundaries, the excise tax would apply as I understand it. Is that correct?
So currently how the ordinance is written, I want to caveat this, that we have several meetings and it may not look like this at the end. But the way it's currently written, it uses the word operation. And the operation's not defined in the ordinance. That's something we can do if we want. But right now it's not. So the plain meaning of that term applies. And to operate means to perform any function. So any function of that activity that's could be subject to the tax is performed within the city boundaries, then that business would be subject to the tax. That's my interpretation of how it's written today.
Thank you. So that perhaps that helps Dennis a little bit, because anybody that comes floats on a raft into the city, and whether they get out of the raft within the city boundaries or not, by providing this, as I understand what you just said, by providing the service of guides and rafts for people to ride in, they would be subject to the operation clause of the excise tax.
Okay. And then just in reference to, again, in talking, apparently you need to generate about $500,000 a year currently for the pool operations, if I understand correctly. And maybe a simpler way to ask my question about what happens is, what's the escape clause if this passes and it becomes clear that the excise tax is going to raise $50,000 instead of $500,000? You know, so I don't know if there. I mean, currently it doesn't look like there's an escape clause, so it's kind of like this is an excise tax that's permanent. But if it doesn't generate the funds to accomplish the goal, do you keep it anyhow?
From my perspective, then the people that were paying the tax would depend on the kindness or generosity of the current council to rescind the ordinance.
Okay, I have to be nice to all you guys, right? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just a minute. Amy?
Thank you. And thanks so much for coming tonight, Mr. Weed. I just wanted to follow up on your question with regard to ensuring that we aren't picking winners and losers and we aren't making two companies who are direct competitors with others who don't fall within city boundaries, making them pay something that others don't have to pay. Is there a way to include that within the ballot language itself?
I mean, yeah, there's always a way to put it in there. I guess my only thought is, you know, it's already one big long sentence, and I'm trying to make it as easy on the voters as possible. But yeah, I mean, we can make that ballot question longer and provide that information if that's what council's pleasure is.
Well, I guess maybe a different way of asking it is, if there is a chance that this could be subject to legal challenge, are we in any, do we have any legal concerns about not including that level of specificity within the ballot language?
No, because if the implementing ordinance takes care of it, a court would look to how the city was interpreting its tax. It wouldn't, let me put it this way, it wouldn't view the ballot question in a vacuum if there's an ordinance that implements it.
Okay. And the ordinance can be approved and updated at any time.
Yeah, it can.
I mean, obviously my preference is that it be approved as swiftly as possible so that the people of Canyon City have the necessary detailed information.
Yeah.
However, I just want to make sure I'm understanding the legality behind this.
Yeah, so the ordinance can be amended at any time. It can be repealed if the situation occurs, or maybe the city let's say the challenge isn't successful and the city collects for so much and it just decides it doesn't want to collect anymore. So it could be repealed on that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think that's helpful, and I think I saw lots of heads nodding to where I know we still have multiple conversations about this, but that most folks on council would be in favor of it being within operating within city limits if it does pass. I did want to follow up on two other of Dennis's questions, but I think that they might actually be questions for the rec district director with regard to what would happen if there wasn't sufficient revenue collected from this tax.
Okay.
So I'm happy to reserve that question until he steps
Okay,
back.
thank you. Emily?
Oh, this kind of goes around, the discussion that we're having right now goes around the question I had a little bit ago that I sort of mentioned in passing, and that is, I'm assuming that the wording in this proposed ballot issue is fairly general on purpose. And if you look at, starting on line 3, whatever amount is generated thereafter from an excise tax on fees, charges, and ticket sales for amusement and scenic rides, recreational excursions, and attractions imposed at the rate of, and it goes on. It doesn't get into the specifics in the ballot language, for better or worse, about who all that's going to apply to. And I generally agree that if we tried to write this like we're going to incorporate the ordinance language to come, it might just be too much for people to try to read and understand and vote either way on. But I wanted to be sure that we intended this to be fairly general, the way it's worded currently, or do we need anything else in there?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it to be general in some respects so that the city could, because there were all these different buckets of things, and to capture all of those required more language that really only the vehicle of an ordinance could provide. I'm not trying to be general to be evasive, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah.
It's really just trying to make it kind of concise, I guess, a little bit, but
Right. And
I wish it could all go in there and it could be fully explained, but unfortunately, particularly with Tabor, it's difficult to do.
thanks.
Amy, is that a leftover?
No. I wanted to ask what the rec district planned to do if there aren't sufficient funds generated by this tax.
Okay, I will defer, I'll get out of your hair here, but I actually did have one more question because I have not seen the ballot language. Does the ballot language very clearly specify that the only use of this excise tax is funding the operations of a community pool? Or is there like some back out option that we can use it for parks or whatever, should the pool thing fail?
I think we should read it. Great.
I'll try to answer it without reading it to you, but if we
Thank
get
you.
to that point, I'll read it to you. So the revenues are pledged for the operation of the pool. And if there's excess, it goes into the city's capital reserve fund for community amenities. And so I think Ryan gave an example of the Black Hills property and the park
Right.
being developed there. So to answer your question about parks, yes, kind of.
Sure.
But that's only if there's excess revenue. So its initial pledge is to the pool operations, but it's not, so the sales and use tax that was passed last November for the city,
Yes.
that is solely pledged to the rec district.
Yes.
This is a little bit different. There's not this sole pledge to the rec district.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
But it has to be excess. It has to
So-
be
so-
excess.
Yeah, it has to be excess, yes.
Yeah, so we know what happens if there's excess, and then the question is, what if there's an obvious deficit that will never be covered?
That then is a rec district question.
Yeah, so we'll let Kyle take that one.
Okay.
All right.
Emily?
Thanks for all of your time.
I think I'm
appreciate
good
it.
for now,
Think-
Mayor. I'm
you-
good.
You good? Okay. What? Mr. Director,
Hello.
Kyle. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We'll conduct our meeting and they can conduct theirs. So what would happen if it came up short?
Okay, so
Any thoughts?
there's two ways to look at this. One is it's short because everybody that's in it didn't generate enough revenue, or is it because one has been removed by federal court and now it's short because of that? So there's two different questions because both will have a different answer. So which one would you be referring to in this case?
Well, I think that, first of all, the one that keeps coming up is the catastrophic loss of one of the larger contributors.
So we all know that is going to be, without question, what Dennis said is completely accurate. That is going to be the largest funder by far. It would be paid for by people who purchase a ticket and use that amenity, or in the case of the rafting company, someone who purchases a trip and goes forward. So the majority is going to be paid by citizens from outside of our community. In this case, if the train was not in, we would not be generating enough revenue. We would not be able to operate the pool. The only other option the Recreation District would have, at least at this time, would be then to go to the voters and ask for a mill levy increase on property tax. That is the only avenue we would have left. I want to be clear. This is right now, after all the different options that we've looked at, and there are numerous options. This is option A. Option B is the property tax. There is no option C. So that is the way in which this would go. Would have to then go to a property tax question. If there was no revenue on the excise tax, you're looking at a property tax increase. We have started looking at some numbers. We do not have the latest assessed value within the community. The Stacy Seifert, Fremont County Assessor, still working on that. She's doing an amazing job trying to get through it. The state has changed the game a lot over the last 3-4 years, and assessors across the state are trying to keep up. So I have nothing but respect for that. So it'd be until we see what that assessed value is, because our only avenue is property tax. Until we know what the AV is, we would just be guessing. But we can tell you by making an informed decision off of where we're at this year, it would lay somewhere between 1.75 and 2 mils. So 1.75 and 2.0 mils. That is the area that operations for the pool would land in at some point. But again, once we know the AV, we would know what that answer is. the recreation district, if the city puts this on the ballot, the recreation district will not be pursuing a property tax question.
Okay. Any other questions of council? John?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So that, I believe that's in line with how I viewed what would happen if there was a severe shortfall. But if there's just not as much money in the pot as we were thinking, the second scenario essentially that you referred to, that would be where there's a shortfall in operational funds. What would happen then?
Right now, the only avenue that we've identified at this point would be to look at our existing reserves, and then the Recreation District Board of Directors would then have to make a decision on how to address that in future years moving forward.
How much room do you have to be able to adjust the income from the pool itself?
So currently, according to our auditor, the Recreation District could operate for 13 months if we received no other funding. Okay, so our reserves are 13 months, which from a reserve standpoint, very healthy. We've made as many smart decisions as we can and to try to continue to build that up. However, that reserves to operate the pool, if we only use those reserves, would be gone within 2 years.
So that, perhaps I'm not being clear yet, that's not my question. My question is, what ability does the Recreation District have to charge differing amounts of money, change the entry fees or something like that? Is there an ability there?
You could increase, but now you're no longer meet the socioeconomic needs of the community, and you're going to create a bigger problem. Because if you charge more, fewer people are going to be able to attend. Your revenue is going to be down. Now you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's not going to be as effective. Public pools are subsidized nearly at 50%. You don't make that up on entry fees. There are two facilities in this state that can make that up, and that's Waterworld and Pirates Cove. They're both amusements. They're an amusement, period. You're looking at somebody like Waterworld who brings in $1 million a day. Okay, but it's an amusement park that happens to be publicly owned. We're not playing by the same rules. If you look at all commercial public pools, a safe benchmark is 50%. If you're having a great year, your cost recovery is going to be 55, 56, 57, maybe get up to 58. That's fair. When you're having a bad year, it's going to be in the 40s. But if you can shoot for that 50, and right now in the pro forma, we're operating at 50, about 52, 53% is our cost recovery right now. So we've done a very good job of trying to really dial that in. And by the way, when we do the pro forma, we don't pretend that we're going to be open in 26. We actually did it based on 2028. So we took inflationary numbers and advanced everything forward and set up the scale based on 2028 using data from other pools that are operating on a year-round basis. So that way we could make an informed decision using fair numbers. So when we look at this, if we are short, the answer unfortunately is not going to be, oh, let's just jump rates across the board. It's no longer serving the community. You're going to price everybody out and then some, because in reality, we would have to double or triple the rate in order to make that up, and then your attendance is going to plummet.
Okay, Amy.
Thank you. This question is for Attorney Sellers. In those scenarios where some funding has been collected by the excise tax, but it's not sufficient for the rec district to operate the pool, what happens to those funds?
So, I mean, I think it's gonna depend a little bit on the IGA that the parties enter into. as to whether or not the city holds those funds for some reason, if the pool can't operate, I mean, we'd have to address that in the IGA. The ballot question doesn't deal with that, I guess, is what I'd say. And I think the parties are gonna, if that happens, whether it's scenario 1 or scenario 2, the parties are gonna have to talk about what to do with those funds, so.
Thank you, but there's no legal requirement to return them,
To the taxpayers?
yeah, as there is with the sales tax if the pool, like the excise tax
No,
differs in
not
that
the way
way.
the ballot question is probably put forth. It's got that other component where, I mean, I know it says the excess funds, so there may be some difficulty and challenge in keeping them. So the city may have to go back to the voters and ask to keep them for those purposes. That'd probably be the safest route. That'd probably be our recommendation. Returning it to the actual taxpayers is pretty much impossible on a sales tax, so they go back to the vendors,
Sure.
or there'd be some type of tax credit if the city couldn't keep them.
Thank you.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Could I ask one additional?
Yes, go ahead.
Has the rec district considered building the pool project in phases until it's clear kind of if the excise tax will fund the entire operations, or is that not feasible based on your current design?
Based on inflationary measures, that would not be advised. The project is going to price itself out, in all fairness, in just a matter of a year or two. So if we did it in phases, we actually explored that during the feasibility study process. And what we discovered is if we did it in phases, it could potentially be an extra close to $10 million. So I don't know if I'd recommend going that route, and the way that we have done the ballot language for construction at this point and then having to sell GO bonds to then build what we have probably would no longer be cost effective, and we would not be able to deliver what the community was promised in the ballot language in 2024.
Okay, John?
Thank you. If the stars align and everything is, if the stars align and everything works like we, I think, hope it would, when would a groundbreaking occur?
So at this point on the schedule from our partners, they have following demo, you're looking at groundbreaking in April of 2026. The goal would be to open the outdoor portion of the pool by Memorial Day of 2027, and then the indoor portion would be phased in, would open up a little bit later that summer in 2027. So the company that actually was selected to construct it, as well as the design team, and the company that was selected, got very creative in their construction schedule. And that was one of the reasons that they were selected, was because they were the one that said, look, we've looked at this, looked at all the angles, and we believe we can have you swimming in the summer of 2027 and not having to wait until something like the fall. So we are cautiously optimistic that everything else run on time. We all know in dealing with any sort of capital construction project, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances that are out there that could potentially delay a project. But they feel that they feel comfortable in saying that we could deliver for the summer of 27.
Okay. Emily, go ahead.
Thanks. I think it's worth noting, too, that there's, having heard a lot of discussion because I've been able to sit in on some of the multi-agency design meetings or whatever we want to call it, there's a lot of attention being paid to how do we do a design for a facility like what is being planned in a way that can reduce operational costs wherever possible, whether that's staffing or utility costs or building cost, whatever it is. I don't know if you want to say more about that, Kyle, but that's been part of our discussion.
It has been, because whenever you're doing what they call as a program design, so when you're looking at the pool program design, how can we factor in, everybody goes, okay, is this going to operate well on utilities? Are you going to be energy efficient? Well, there's also the efficiency of staff. and that is being played into it. So at every turn, we are making decisions on how do we address staff, how much are we going to need to operate at certain times of the day, when do we have availability for certain user groups, and that's all being worked into the schedule. So it's not uncommon to have a design meeting followed by a construction meeting, followed by a marketing meeting, followed by a pro forma meeting, and really trying to dial this thing in. So, there is a significant amount of thought that is going into this. It's not just, here's a pool, let's break some ground, let's lay down some concrete and go. There's a significant amount of moving parts. And it's one where you realize that the companies that you're working with have done this before, which is why they've been hired, and they're very good at it, and they're really guiding us through this process. So it's been very helpful, and I should say it's been wonderful to have in the room City of Canyon City Schools, and the Rec District, all working together from this project. It started this way when the pool closed in '23, and it's continued up until this point. So for over 2 years, the partnership has remained. So, and I think it was, I don't remember which one of you said it, but it is wonderful to see that there are numerous government entities working together for a common goal.
Okay.
And trust me, everybody is it's wonderful. Everybody nobody gets territorial over certain things. It's like the leading question is what's best for the community? How do we best fit this by community needs? And that's been at the center of every single discussion during this process.
Okay, John?
Thank you very much. So as a practical matter, if this passes on the ballot, starting January 1st, we'll be authorized to start collecting excise taxes. Between January 1st and April, we'll probably have come to some conclusion about the sufficiency of funds. It would seem to me that we'll have some data to work from and perhaps be able to then look into the rest of the year and say, are we going to have enough money here for operations or not? And so there is a period of time where we could say, this is not going to work. We're not going to have funds to operate the pool, and the entities then get together to face that reality. But that there is kind of a grace period built into this.
Yeah, I'd say there's a little bit of a grace period, and then you're also collecting funds before operations actually start. So you're already building a little bit of a reserve there to help if there is a shortfall for some reason.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Kyle? Seeing none, then I would ask is it time to ask for a motion and a second? Let's do that. Let's ask for a motion and a second if we can. Let's ask for a motion and a second.
Somebody has got a light.
Okay, Emily, go ahead.
I move for approval of Resolution Number 8, Series of 2025.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Sina, would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all. And thank you. All right, let's move on to D, which is a second reading and adoption by title only of Ordinance 8, Series 2025, entitled, An Ordinance of the City of Canyon City amending Title 17 of the Canyon City Municipal Code concerning cemeteries, group homes, special review uses, front yard fences, and vehicular vision clearance. Is that one for Leo?
Actually, we have Patrick Moll ready online.
Oh, Patrick, would you like to go forward, or any questions for Patrick?
There were some changes that were requested at the last city council meeting. We did find some errant code that was not removed from a previous change, and we're currently working on addressing that issue, but it does, that errant code regarding the barbed wire does get fixed in the amendment here. Patrick, any other comments from the public or anything else you'd like to add?
We have had no contact from the public. No one has reached out to me with questions or clarifications. And I would also point out that we have added a provision in the revocation of special review uses so that the show cause hearing will go to council.
Okay, Emily?
I don't have my light.
What,
I'm sorry, did you say me?
pardon? Emily,
She's passing.
you're passing? What? I said, did I say Emily? I'm so sorry. It's been a long day. Amy?
Thank you, Mayor Troutman. I think I'm a little bit confused by the red line version that was included in the attachment. It didn't seem to have all of the requested changes. So 1706-050 regarding the fences in the Central Business District doesn't have the transparency piece. And then it looked like 1706-060 didn't have A2 removed. And then I didn't see track changes on the revocation of permits portion, but maybe they just weren't included as track changes.
Well,
So I'm wondering if maybe-
they're new provisions.
So I'm wondering if maybe the incorrect version got included with the packet?
I'm seeing some of what you mentioned. Let's see, I lost my page here about the transparency. I think the fences, I think that's in here, but I can't find the right page now.
On page 142?
Yes, at the bottom.
I can't find the right version. I just saw it a minute ago.
Ah,
Yeah,
Oh.
under materials, number 4.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Digital 140 is what
I
I'm
understand.
seeing. Yeah.
I
And
understand.
I struggled with this part too. I had to go back to the rest of 06050, what's not in print here, what's the existing earlier part to kind of get the context here. That this is for all other uses not named in A and B that we don't see here.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Tracy. Could I ask about, I believe that Planning Commission had requested and that we had approved striking 06060A2? Or am I misunderstanding that?
It wasn't struck. What they asked for was that the Public Works Director not be limited by an only 10% change. And that, I believe, was incorporated into this.
There aren't track changes on that portion. It's page 143.
I see that. We did eliminate the sentence, but because it was a new sentence, I think because it has not previously been codified, I think in the track changes, it simply got lost.
Right.
Okay. Okay. I think we may then, we may need, well, I guess we've already approved the minutes from the last meeting, but then there may be an issue with that, because it says to strike the second sentence, but, okay. And then the reason why the special review use permit doesn't have track changes as well is because it is a new section. Is there a way for us to see the changes that are made between council meetings and between readings so that we can better follow and ensure that what we have requested is accurately reflected?
Sure, so when a section is new like that, like section F in section 6 of the ordinance, section F, subsection F, when something's new like that, we do not use track changes. So the language up in section 6, is hereby amended by the addition of the following sections indicates it's new. That we indicate to the codifiers that way. That's how we communicate with them, so they know what to do. Sorry. And so it's the same thing for the section 4. So it's hereby repealed in its entirety and replaced as follows. And so that's why it's not redlined, because it's new language in its entirety.
Sure, but if we're looking at a document and we are expecting to see changes from the first reading to the second reading, it would be really helpful for us to have a way to see what those changes are.
Were those changed between first and second? I didn't think that they were.
Yes, so like the special review use permit has the bifurcated process, where if it's contested, it comes to city council.
I
That
think I'm
wasn't in
following
the
you
first
now.
reading.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. Okay.
No, no worries. So it would just be
Yeah.
great if there could be a way to have those tracked.
Yeah, I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, John.
Thank you. My question is on the barbed wire fence. This is on page 3 in the middle, or page 143 of our electronic, where we've deleted language about barbed wire, but what is going to happen with that?
There is
In a
actually
previous, in a previous ordinance, that was already moved to section 1706-050A3. So that change was already incorporated, and with that previous omnibus, this section in 1706-050
That would be,
3 was supposed to have been deleted, and it wasn't in the previous omnibus.
and so,
It's how it was done. So because it was track changes, when the changes were approved, it removed the item from the list. The codifier didn't know that it was removed.
The clean version didn't show the removal, is the short version of
Yeah.
that story.
Sure, but the omnibus did in fact remove it.
The ordinance that was actually approved
Did not.
have it in there because it was redlined to delete it, and then once the changes were made to the red lines were approved for deletion, there should have been a section that said remove section.
Yeah, we've been over it.
so this essentially, this is administrative. There is no language in anywhere about a prohibition on barbed wire, is that correct?
What Patrick was saying is there is a separate section that was added. It's not being changed by this code that discusses barbed wire.
Has this same language in it?
No. It was what was previously approved.
Oh, what we massaged?
Correct.
Apologies, but you're saying now that we did not in fact actually approve that massaged language?
No, that was approved.
No, that
The-
was approved.
The deletion here is what was missed.
It was
The deletion
previously
from the
approved.
It
section.
was previously approved, but
So-
you had just mentioned that the version that was actually approved, it wasn't included in? Or
No.
are you simply saying that what was sent to,
What was being requested to delete was not what was in the approval.
It's in a new section.
It is, we're
Somewhere
going to be
else.
good after tonight.
so do we have a process in place now to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
We're going back through your ordinances for the last 4 years to audit them, to make sure this hasn't happened. The red lines are, it's very, very difficult to manage the red lines. I'll just say it. And I don't know if there's a different alternative that works better, so that the ordinances are only in their clean version, because that's what the codifiers get. They don't send red lines to the codifiers, because that's not the version of the ordinance you approve. We send clean versions of the ordinance to the codifiers. So I don't know if having red lines in just a separate document that's not an ordinance will stop this from potentially happening. We don't know that it's happened at all. This may have been the only outlier, but we don't know that for sure. It's gonna take a little time to go through all those ordinances, so.
Okay.
Okay. Was that, Amy, was that your discussion here? Was this a leftover Amy here? Okay. Sure? Okay. Any other discussion on that? And I've read the ordinance, and I'm asking for a motion in a second. Correct? John, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mayor and Council, I move that we approve Ordinance 8, Series of 2025 on second reading.
Second.
Second, Kathy, thank you. A motion been made and seconded. Is there a discussion on that motion? Hearing none, would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to E. It's a second reading and adoption by title only of Ordinance 11, 2025, entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Canyon City amending various provisions of Title 9 of the Canyon City Municipal Code concerning firearms to comply with the U.S. Supreme Court case, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Brewing? Could we have either attorney or the city administrator?
Yes, sir. This is a second reading. Staff would recommend passing on a second reading. I nor the chief have received any additional public comment on this ordinance.
Mayor, I
Yes.
move that we approve ordinance number 11, series of 2025.
Okay,
I'll second.
and second, made and seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's move on to F. This is a second reading and adoption by title only of Ordinance 13, Series 2025, entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Canyon City, Colorado appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for the City of Canyon City, Colorado for the 2024 budget year." That's last year. Could we have an administrator report?
Yes, sir. Again, this is a second reading. Finance Director nor myself have received any additional public comment, and staff would recommend passing on second reading.
Okay. Any discussions from council? Questions? Amy?
Mayor Chapman, I move that we adopt on second reading ordinance 13, series 2025.
Second.
Kathy, seconded. Thank you. Any discussion on that motion? Would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Dennehy?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick?
Aye.
Thank you all again for a rather interesting evening, and that concludes. The next meeting will be September the 2nd, which is the day after Labor Day, which, is that a Tuesday? So you're not going to make us work on a vacation day, huh? No, okay. So the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.